so much for hanging out with us this wonderful Monday evening or afternoon, wherever you guys are. And Frankie Nevas, my co-host, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really great. How you doing, Alex?
I've been pretty spectacular. Can't say anything more than that, honestly. So going into it, so we're going to be doing a little watching these two people debate today in particular. Now, you are no stranger to debating, to arguing, talking about the numbers, talking about the stats, talking about the challenges, and I love the way you approach these arguments. So I know you've been on that side of the desk when it comes to Schmoebates. How are you excited going into, as the co-host today?
I'm looking forward to it because when I normally watch the show, I'm always like somehow judging myself as if I was a judge. So now I get to do it in a official capacity, which I'm looking forward to. But these two guys we got here, James and Dwain, I know them fairly well, I think, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do today.
Absolutely. Have you seen any of their previous matches? They're both currently at 1-1. Sorry, 1-0 actually going into these matches. So they have the same record, and they're both excellent debaters. So what do you give any predictions though?
I saw Dwayne's, and I've kind of sparred a little bit with Dwayne in real life, so I know what he's about. I did not see James's match, but so I'm looking forward to what he can do. But I know James outside of Schmoebates and how passionate he is about the things that he discusses. So I think I have a pretty decent idea of what to expect, but you never know when these two guys will go back and forth.
Absolutely. These people, I don't know if they really care all that much about Schmoedown. They don't seem all that involved at all, Definitely not like us. We are what Schmoedown is all about. But these people, I don't know. Let's just bring him up here pretty soon. All right. With our first competitor today, sitting at 1-0, it is Mr. Dwain Burke. Oh my gosh, Mr. Behind the Scenes Schmoedown. What's up, my dude?
Hey, what's up, guys? How's it going?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited to get into the ring with James and see how it shakes out.
I see you got a claw right there. What flavor are you drinking? Is that
tangerine?
Ooh, do you like it or you hate it?
I like this one. It's not too bad. It's not my favorite, but it's better than like watermelon.
What is the favorite of the claws?
Grapefruit, by far.
Yeah.
I'm a grapefruit guy.
Yes, my man. All right.
I was told
I got one of those over here too.
There's going to be no PEDs here, Dwayne, so I don't know if we can allow the claw, but Alex, I will defer to you.
Actually, you can come on the show without the claw.
Okay, call back to my first one. I also have Gatorade. I also have water.
Okay.
I have another White Claw.
All right, he's ready for the pandemic for sure.
I've also got a beer.
Priorities. I am so here for it.
I'm ready.
All right. Well, going into our next competitor, he is also sitting at 1-0. These two people, oh my gosh, Mr. Fantastic himself. He is recently part of a brand new faction. Oh my gosh. What's up? Part of the Den. What's up, James?
What's up, guys? I'm having some fun. I don't have a tangerine White Claw, but I got like a tangerine mango water here. So, I mean, it's kind of the same thing, right? I just don't get the alcohol out of it. That sucks. But, it is what it is. No, I'm looking forward to this. I had a real good time last time I was on, and I'm looking forward to going up against Dwayne here.
Yeah, well, something I'm kind of curious about, I know we kind of chatted briefly right before this, is that this is the kickoff to our little winners tournament here at the Schmoebates. This is a first real tournament for Schmoebates overall with C2A. And so one of you guys are going to be playing the winner of Bateman versus Brendan Meyer. So no pressure, guys. Just saying. No pressure. No?
We can take them.
Yeah, I hear you. I see what you're doing. All right. So if you're not familiar with Schmoebates, thank you so much for dropping by. Let me just kind of brief you about what it's all about. Schmoebates is a Schmoedown's debate style after show. We're really argue and debate, to the death, to the blood on all things Schmoedown, asking Schmoedown's biggest questions. Now, so we do things a little bit differently over here. We have 3 questions. I have given both Dwayne and James prior, and so they have already picked their answers. And so for the first round, we are going to be starting with Dwayne for his opening statement at 1 minute apiece, followed by 4 minutes of open debate and 1 minute of closing statement as well. Now, for the second question, we're going to do it vice versa, starting with James. And for the third question, we're going to be using this little coin to determine who's going to go first. So, fun stuff. All right. You guys ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. All right. You got 1 minute on the clock. And Frankie, please do the honors and read a question.
Here we go. Question number 1. What is the best first round tournament match of any league?
This is a really big question, especially with all these tournaments coming about right now. You've definitely got to pick at the litter. Starting right now. Go ahead.
All right. So just imagine this. It's season 4.
Oh.
The wonderful team of the Mega Powers has broken up. Josh McCouga wants to continue to play in the team's division.
Oh, shoot. Sorry.
Time's up.
How and who could possibly be a good enough partner for Josh McCouga? We need someone epic. We need somebody bombastic.
Sorry. I don't know why this is going off.
We need someone that can match his level of energy. What we needed, what we did not know was coming, was the Wild Berries. And in their first match, they played arguably one of the greatest teams to ever play the game,
10 seconds.
the Wolves of Steel. That is my pick. Wild Berries versus Wolves of Steel from Season 4, the Team Ultimate Schmoedown.
Okay. Wolves of Steel and the debut of the Wild Berries. That's a great pick. Frankie, what do you think?
Yeah, interesting pick. Two teams with, I guess you could say, varied levels of knowledge with Wolves of Steel and Wildberries. So I'm looking forward to what Dwayne's going to lay out for us.
Absolutely. All right, over to you. You also, and hopefully my phone will not be a weenie this time with my timer. You have 1 minute on the clock to really make your selection starting right now.
Look, when you're talking about one of the best matches in a tournament, you're not looking at a match that got TKO'd. You're not looking at a complete disparity of skill levels here. You're looking at two teams or two players that are going up equally. Somebody that is punching, and then somebody is punching them right back. And the best one that came to my mind is Drew McQueenie versus JTE in their first round matchup. This match went six sudden death rounds. You're talking about a person, it's Drew McQueenie, who is at the top of his game, coming off of a huge run with Above the Line, going in with a 3-1 record versus JTE, who had a 5-6 record. Somebody that was, hit or miss. You never knew what you were going to get with him. And he hung in there with Drew McQueenie for this entire match and really pulled it off. I mean, you're talking about a guy that outside of teams was just an average player. But he went into this match against one of the best in the league at the time, and he took him out with 6 overtime questions. That is not to be overlooked whatsoever. Fantastic match.
Okay. Now, like I mentioned in the question, this can go for any league. I also mentioned when I chatted with them prior that also includes any season. So there's a lot of choices. Frankie, if you had your choice, what would you pick?
From these two choices, I can see the arguments for both of them. Which one would I personally argue for? I don't quite want to say, but there's definitely one that I would definitely leans toward more for sure between these two. What I will say about James's pitch is I do like kind of the little history lesson he gave setting the table for the match that he picked, where Dwain, as he set up the kind of it seemed to me the clash of personality and play, which I both think can serve as a nice base for great arguments. So when we get into this next round here, I'm looking forward to how it's all gonna flesh out.
A lot of sound effects were going on. We're expanding so fast. That's it. All right. Well, that's it. Absolutely. We have a clash of personalities, a match of huge personalities, or a match of huge numbers of overtime, like you said. And I cannot wait to hear these arguments. You guys got 4 minutes, and let me just make sure my phone is completely correct with my timer. You guys got 4 minutes starting right now. Go ahead.
All right.
Yeah,
so go ahead. I went first last time. So, okay. So, first thing I'm going to say is, you said that both players were at the top of their game. Was McQueenie really at the top of his game? or was he on a downward slope? I mean, the team champ at the time was JTE, right? He hasn't been as good since, or probably prior to that run that he had with the Patriots. JTE was at the top of his game. McQueenie was not. He played much better with the family than he did when he was with Above the Line. Even though they did win the team championships, he played better. As well as, I wouldn't call them equal players either. Like, McQueenie is a much better player than JTE historically.
Yeah, and JTE beat him. That's the thing that makes this such a good match is Drew McQueenie was at the top of his game. If you look at that team's tournament where he went on the run with Sam Levine prior to this, he had an 89% accuracy rating in that tournament. I mean, you're talking about a guy that was lights out, and he was 3-1 in singles at the time. So yes, he was at the top of his game. But I didn't say that JTE was. I said that you had two people that shouldn't have been equal that battled it out versus yours where it was two teams that shouldn't have been equal and it was a TKO. The Wolves of Steel just ran through the Wildberries. It was a good debut and it was a fun seeing Elliott come out there, but as a match, I mean, it wasn't fun. It was a 22-17 TKO. My match went 6 rounds of OT with JTE, who wasn't that great at singles, beating somebody that was.
Wait, did you just say that a match with the Wildberries wasn't fun?
I said it wasn't good. I said it was fun.
You said it wasn't fun. You said it wasn't fun. There is no universe where a match with the Wildberries wasn't fun. That's why they are probably the most beloved team in the history of the game. Like, on top of the impact that they had reaching just in that season, imagine we wouldn't have probably the greatest heel moment of all time now if we didn't have the Wildberries debuting in that match. We wouldn't have them being split up in the draft. The impact that single match has had on the entire development of the league over the last few years, it's incalculable. Now, as great as JTE and McQueenie was, I forgot they even played. I didn't even think about it until you brought it up.
Well, that's a shame that you forgot about such a great match. Like I said, this is a fantastic match. Yours was just an okay match. It was one team steamrolling over another. When you look at the classic matchups, whether it's basketball, football, World Series, you don't look at blowouts. You don't look at things like that. You look at a close game, and a close game is what builds drama. I mean, you have Drew McQueenie spinning 80s in the second round, getting his strength, and JTE hung with him and got to the end, forcing a sudden death and getting him with 6 rounds of sudden death. I mean, this is somebody that you expected to get crushed, but he didn't. He held through and he won that match.
I would be all with you if this was just about the trivia, but it's not. This is, for lack of a better term, trivia entertainment. There has to be an entertainment factor of the matches, and the people who bring the most entertainment and do it the best, I would say, are Mark Riley, Clark Wolf, Elliott Dewberry, and Josh McCouga, who can give you a more entertaining match outside of just the trivia, but bringing the total package to a match other than those 4.
But you said it. It's trivia entertainment. It's not entertainment trivia. We're looking for trivia first, and you want a good competitive match. You don't want a TKO. And you think that 6 rounds of overtime and sudden death is not entertaining? Come on. Are you not entertained by this? It's amazing. And
Robert Meyer, Burnett, and Dagnino went to overtime.
And time. Speaking of which, audience, are you not entertained? Are you not? Oh my gosh. Okay. I have so many feelings. Okay. Frank, I gotta know. These are 2 different approaches to these arguments. Obviously, these are individual iconic players with McQueenie as well as JTE, both team champion individuals that have been involved with belts. Also against some of the most iconic teams of all time. So, what are your thoughts about their arguments so far?
So, when you look at James and his argument with JTE and McQueenie. Mm-hmm. When Dwain says he can't remember that McQueenie and JTE played, it's kind of a shame because for a while, JTE and McQueenie had one of the best all-time sudden death matches that went to sudden death, 6 questions before Cushion and Mark Canapa came along, which was 11. And then when you look at Dwain's argument about how can any match with the Wildberries not be fun, it's a valid argument. It's a valid statement. I don't know that any match the Wildberries has competed in is not memorable or not looked upon fondly. I think James, his argument has more meat on the bone than Dwain's, but that's not to say that Dwain can't win over the audience with Wildberries in his corner.
Absolutely. I totally agree. I'm not going to lie, going into these matches, I can remember very fondly about, the debut of the Wildberries. And like you said, it's incalculable the effect the Wildberries have had on Schmoedown as a whole, and, arguably one of the greatest heel moments of all time came down, started from the, coming together. But at the same time, you can't deny it. 89% accuracy, 6th round. You picked a really great match, for sure, James. So I am not entirely sure what to pick here. Now, going into this, third round, these closing statements, they both obviously may have made solid arguments, but what do they have to say in order to guarantee your vote?
Yeah, I think with Dwain, when you look at what's the best first round match, you certainly got to make your case in terms of is your philosophy based on the entertainment, which I think Dwain is heading in that direction, as opposed to James, which is the more trivia balanced aspect. However, what I think James has going for him is that, is there any other match with JTE that's not entertaining, even if the trivia isn't up to par? So that's what I mean when I say James has more meat on the bone. Can James close the deal? Can Dwain close the deal in these final moments? I'm looking forward to it.
I know, it's always be closing. That's my big takeaway going into this. What? This is like all about movies, right? Yeah, always be closing. Are you not entertained? It's almost like the movie quotes. Weird. All right, going into our closing statements, we're going to be starting again with Dwain making your closing statement. You also have 1 minute to really solidify your arguments. And everyone here that's watching, you guys are going to be determining who's going to be the winner of these matches today. It's going to be James. It's going to be Dwain. Wait to vote until these closing statements are heard. You have 1 minute starting right now.
Yes, James's pick is a great statistical choice, but that doesn't make the match as a whole the best. You always want the balance of entertainment and skill. That's the one thing that we've always loved Josh McCouga and the Wildberries for, is they always have that puncher's chance. Yes, maybe they got TKO'd in this match, but they were going up against two of the greatest competitors of all time. That's what you expected, but it was still fun.
Okay.
If JTE had gotten TKO'd, would that match have still been fun? If McQueenie had gotten TKO'd, would it have still been fun? No, not really. It would have been another match on the wayside. But in this match, we got the Wildberries, the greatest gift ever given to the Schmoedown.
It's time. Sorry to cut you off right there, but had to be done. Okay. Feelings are being felt right now, I have to say. And over to you, James. Are you ready for your closing statement as well? You also have 1 minute on the clock starting now.
And those Wildberries scored a combined 8 points in round 1. 8 points. That's pathetic. That's not what you want to do in a debut. That does not make a great match. It's supposed to be the best match in the tournament ever. And that is not going to do it. You're talking about JTE taking down McQueenie, propelling him onto a second-round face-up with Jeff Snyder. What an amazing matchup that was, seeing the Patriots having to go against each other, seeing JT pull that off, and then propelling him on to face Sam Levine for the finals. This match was an upset that nobody saw coming except for the Patriots. They had confidence going in. JT managed to dodge every bullet he could. McQueenie spinning 80s. JT hung with him. Getting through the questions, they both missed their 5-pointers, and JT barely missed his 5-pointer. He could have put it away there, but he didn't. He didn't give up.
10 seconds.
The 6 rounds of overtime, and he pulled it off at the end, propelling him on to face Sam Levine, the best of all time at that time with Dan Murrell in the finals. And it was just an amazing tournament run for JT.
And time.
These are some pretty good closing arguments, I gotta say. I like them both. I like both what they did in the end to try and solidify their arguments.
They both have made fantastic arguments. And also, there's some people in the chat, really quick to, say that you guys are both wrong in your picks today. But also PC is real quick to say, hey, real rejects over Wildberries.
Wow. Bold statement. Bold statement.
So, yeah, I understand where you're coming from, but you're totally wrong.
I mean, it's not a completely out of left field statement.
Incredibly true. I blame Gravity 23 said, is it just cruel or is the answer odd couple versus only two stupid answers? So that would be a solid argument. Have you probably come on and make that argument as well, for sure. All right. Okay, guys, you can go on Twitter right now. If you solidified up in your noggin, hey, I want to vote in favor of James. I want to vote in favor of Dwain. You can go vote right now over on Twitter. And, while you're there, definitely go to follow if you can. That'd be really awesome. But yeah, make your opinions known because we are not going to determine a winner. You guys are. So let us know what you think. All right. We are going to be going into the second question today. And it's definitely a controversial question, if I do say so myself. Frankie, are you fond of challenges? Do you like challenges when it comes to, matches at all? Or are you like scared of challenges, really?
I like a good challenge that really challenges the game, that really makes a statement or really makes a good argument like we've seen here so far. So I'm all about a good challenge.
Absolutely. Like we've said before, I mean, challenges do have the power to change the game. They have the power to change the mindset of a competitor, of a manager. So, that really kind of begs the question, what is the best challenge that changed the game? So let's hear it, guys. This time around, we are going to be going starting with James for your question. You got 1 minute on the clock to make your opening statement starting right now.
Yeah, when I thought about what was the best challenge, I had to think of something that really stood out in my mind as one player knowing what the answer was immediately and saying, no, you're wrong, I'm challenging you. And that answer becoming, or that challenge becoming the emphasis of him winning that match. And that was Kevin Smets versus Chandru when Chandru said Ariane instead of Ariana. You're talking about a match that was so close. One tiny little difference one way or another, and that match was going to swing. And with the emphasis of that the winner got a championship shot against Kevin Smets. Against Mike Kalinowski. Smets, as soon as he said that answer, knew immediately, no, it's wrong challenge. Just pointed right at him, said, no, it's incorrect.
10 seconds.
Knew it immediately, got a new question. It was a 3-point swing or a 4-point swing right there. And that propelled him on to the final or to the win and getting him that chance and winning the belt.
That was indeed a challenge that changed the game. Do you agree that was a huge challenge?
Yeah, you know what? I didn't know this question was going to be popping up, and to not give it any thought, really, when I hear what James put out there, I go, whoa, this is a pretty good one. So I'm really looking forward to what Dwain has cooked up here for us.
Absolutely. There's a lot of different, even now, just last week, there was a real big challenge that was issued that's still, kind of controversial amongst fans today. So I'm really kind of excited to see your pick, Dwain. You also got 1 minute on the clock starting right now.
All right. So for my pick is part of what has been quoted as the greatest ascendancy in the history of the Schmoedown. It is the 7 Samurai Challenge in the Ben Bateman versus Paul Preston match. It may seem insignificant, but in all reality, that challenge created a 3-point swing, which may have determined that match. And had Ben Bateman not won that match and won that challenge, he would have never become the champion. He would have never played 2 matches in one night.
10 seconds.
It also made the argument for Christian to give every single player a manager.
And time. Oh, that is quite dropping those nuggets of knowledge for sure. Okay. These are 2 mega picks. Obviously, when it comes to Schmoedown, and not everyone is comfortable issuing challenges. But if you're gonna stay competitive in Schmoedown today, you got to be comfortable taking on the initiative and issuing a challenge, even if you don't like it, even if you don't want to. And the person sitting across that desk is someone that you really do enjoy, hanging out with and being friends with. But sometimes, You got to get that belt. You got to get those wins. What do you think of these choices?
All right. When I look at James, I think his answer, he doesn't have to do too much work in setting the table and how it affects things. For Dwain's, I completely see the argument here. It's whether or not he can make it and convey it to the audience to sell them on what he's presenting. And I think Dwain, if he can do it successfully, I think he can perhaps win a lot of minds over. But I'd love to see what he's going to do to try and do that.
Absolutely. Something I'm really excited to see is them talk about the drama, how the drama behind the scenes and how these really impacted the competitors as well. So yeah, a lot of people also in the chat are really kind of talking about, hey, what's up with nobody picked Alba? Interesting. A lot of love, this is going to be awesome. A lot of love, for just really kind of curious, on, what you guys are going to be talking about. But again, if you guys already made your assumptions regarding the first question, go ahead and vote at that new link, apparently, which is the correct link. All right. You guys got 4 minutes to make your arguments, starting right now.
Well, the first thing I'm going to say is that wasn't the emphasis to give people managers, because the nuke had already been announced. They were already getting ready to blow everything up and have these teams redone. But the reason you say that is because Bateman didn't make that challenge. That came from the audience. That came from somebody else in his team that spoke up, because he didn't know that the answer was incorrect. When they did the multiple choice, he gave 1959 as his answer, which wasn't even in the release window that they gave in the challenge. It was like 52 to 56 or whatever it was. So he definitely didn't know the answer to that question. That was somebody on his team that knew it. I'm assuming it was probably Dan Merle, because he was there that day. I'm assuming that he spoke up and said, no, challenge that. So yeah, that wasn't even Bateman coming up with that. Smets knew the answer immediately and challenged.
Okay, so it actually did bring up a thing for the managers, because Paul Preston, his initial reaction was, what the hell? I don't have someone challenging things for me. And it wasn't Dan Merle, it was Finstock. And you can clearly hear that classic Bobby Gucci voice saying, we're going to challenge that. But, I mean, that aside, it also set a dangerous precedent of giving competitors a second question when they issue a challenge for an invalid question. Because even if Ben Bateman had got it wrong, that 3-point swing still existed because they gave him a new question. He didn't pick either of the two dates that they had found. The date he picked was wrong. They found two release dates, both of which were in the multiple choice window. Paul Preston just happened to pick one of them. Ben Bateman did not pick any of them, and then got a new question, a new chance at 2 points. On top of that, your challenge didn't change the game. I actually forgot it even happened.
2 minutes.
And in all honesty, it's an easy challenge because the answer was wrong. That's an easy challenge. This challenge, the answer technically, depending on what website you looked at, was not wrong.
1959 is wrong, regardless. 1959 is wrong. But no. But I'm saying
Bateman's answer is wrong.
But Bateman didn't know. But Bateman didn't know the answer. That's
but Paul Preston did. Paul Preston answered the question correctly.
Right.
The challenge was not whether or not Bateman got it wrong. It was whether or not Paul Preston got it correct, and then also whether or not there were multiple release dates. That's what happened. Paul Preston got it right. Ben Bateman did not. In your situation, the answer that Chandru gave was completely wrong.
It was completely wrong.
The answer that Paul Preston gave
the competitor that
not
was
wrong.
Facing Chandru knew it was completely wrong. That's the thing that I'm bringing up here, is that Bateman didn't know the answer. He was challenging it based on a guess. Somebody in the audience said challenge, so they challenged. Smets knew immediately, and that was where the match really swung for him, because he goes up and he does get another question. They threw out that question and gave him another question for a 2-point steal that he got correct. So it's happened, multiple times. It wasn't just that one time with you that you're pointing out where they threw out a question and they get another one. So that was a 3-point swing, or a 4-point swing, really, because Chandru didn't ask for multiple choice like Bateman did. So that was a 4-point swing. And Bateman, when it came down to it at the end, he didn't even have to answer his 5-point question. So it's possible that challenge was moot. He may have gotten his 5-point question, and with Bateman answering, it's a good chance he probably would get his 5-point question. It came down to both 5-pointers for Chandru and Smets. Smets had to hit his 5-pointer, a really tough Star Trek question, to win that match, and he did it.
The challenge wasn't mute because they went into round 3 with a 3-point difference instead of a 1-point difference. So it's not mute. But I will say this. There is a big difference in knowing that your opponent is wrong and knowing that the question is wrong.
Okay. Okay.
Oh.
How you doing, Alex? You all right? You seem a little distraught.
These both changed my heart. That's what they did. That's what they did. You know what, Lucas? If you're listening, can you please bring me that White Claw? I don't need water right now. I just need a White Claw. Surprise. When I don't, I need a White Claw. Okay, so these are both fantastic picks. And, I think that it was kind of interesting how they, the challenge, they're really kind of also not only challenging each other, but they're also challenging the concepts of, how did they really change the game, the impact, how did these specific points impact the game, the individual performers, competitors after that? What did you think? You were there, I believe, at both these matches. So behind the scenes, tell me what your thoughts were.
So this one, what I noticed was that Dwain is, in a sense, arguing for how has the game changed in regards to the manager's aspect, and James is arguing how it changes the actual game, the game in the moment. I felt like we kind of got bogged down in terms of whether the challenge was correct or what the merits of the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure that's what we need to be debating necessarily, unless we get to a larger point with that. I think with James, I think he definitely is laying the argument for how Smets knew the answer, and he's changing the game because he makes a challenge. He knows as the player, and I think that's important for a challenge that can change the game. With the Ben Bateman challenge and the Samurai 7, Seven Samurai. I was there that day, and I saw Draco, and I saw Dan Merle, and I saw a plethora of other people looking up and down, the audience that day, trying to figure out what was going on. So it's certainly a challenge that changed the game.
Yes.
But I'm not sure I heard that much of an argument from Dwain in terms of that regard. More or less, I heard him talk about managers and how Preston was talking about he didn't have a manager. So I'm not sure quite exactly where Dwain's going to land. If he's doing both arguments, that's a tough thing to tackle because James is just doing the one avenue. So, there's a couple things going on in my head there when I'm listening to these arguments.
Absolutely. Now, going into this, closing statements, I'm really kind of curious to see, Dwain's approach. He's definitely got to be his closing statements. You got a minute, you got to carefully craft it. I know, Dwain, you are all about, using your time very wisely for sure. But also with James in particular, you're definitely coming pretty intensely. Not to mention that match in particular is a pretty historic match in particular, that, like you said, if Finstock was one that issued it, it wasn't Bateman. Bateman didn't recognize the challenge, that it was necessarily a challenge. It was his manager. But obviously that's also another conversation that leads to the importance of managers and having knowledgeable managers on deck at all times, or as often as you can. But also Chandru and Smets. And Smets was like, no, I know for a fact that's wrong. So a lot of drama behind the scenes during it, a lot of people involved. Absolutely. So going into this, I'm really kind of curious to see their approaches. Okay. Now we have 1 minute apiece for your closing statements. Again, we're going to be starting with James for your closing statement. You have 1 minute starting now.
Yeah, look, in Smets versus Chandru, it was 9-8 after round 1, and you had to feel that Chandru felt emboldened by that because he saw that Smets could miss. Then Smets spins opponent's choice. Chandru gives him the toughest category in IG with Who Said It. Chandru lands on spinner's choice and gets Harry Potter. And what's he do? 1, 2, 3, 4 questions, knocks it out of the park. He gets to question 5. Chandru's dancing in his chair. He's so happy, and then he messes up. Smets calls him on it. That challenge swings, and he deflates. Everything was just sucked out of him. That cost him the match right there. As soon as that challenge was issued, as soon as that point swing, the points difference swung, the game was over. Smets had it won right then and there. With Bateman, like I said, it went to the end of the round. Preston missed his 5-pointer when Bateman had only answered his 2 and his 3. He didn't even have a chance to answer his 5. He probably gets his 5, as Bateman normally does, and then that challenge is completely wiped out. It doesn't matter. The challenge of the Smets match mattered.
Time. Psychological warfare is very real within Schmoebates. And that's for damn sure. But also, yeah, again, there's a lot of different ways, a challenge can impact not only points wise, but to the competitor themselves. Like you said, it definitely can deflate the competitor for sure. All right, so over to you, Dwain. You also have 1 minute for your closing statement. All right, starting right now.
All right. So the first thing when you brought up this challenge, I had to rack my brain. It was like, did this happen? Because it wasn't something that stuck with me. And that's because this challenge, while it affected the game, it affected that game. My challenge affected the game, like the game, the entire game, not just one individual match. And that's the difference between the two. Yes, the nuke had already been announced, but it showed how vital it was to have a manager and have someone on the sidelines that is able to challenge on your behalf. It's the reason why
10 seconds.
Challenges have to be verbalized by the competitor and the manager. Now, your challenge affected one game. My challenge affected the game.
I want 30 more seconds.
I can't, if you Venmo me in time, I'll give you a few extra seconds. I'll keep my Venmo account just dropping in the private chats,
Right.
All right. So if you're watching this if you're just dropping in, checking us out for the first time, thank you so much for coming out. Definitely give this video a like, give us a comment. Let us know which, choices that you would love to see, what questions you would love to see argued. What would your choices be if you were arguing on Schmoebates? So I would love to hear what you think. Okay. So my man, Mr. Numbers.
Yeah.
Tell me the numbers of so far of this. What do you think? I mean, they're making some solid arguments that I just don't know. My heart and my head is kind of going in different directions right now.
I think if Dwain had fully went into the changing the game as an overall, or as he put it, the royal, game, as it were, I think making that your priority of the argument, I think he could have made a lot of headway with that. James, yes. I think, was solid from the get-go, knew what he wanted to talk about, and he was steadfast in that argument. So, and he was concise, and he made good points. Not to say that Dwain didn't make good points. I just think had there been a little bit more pinpoint accuracy in terms of how Dwain was framing his argument, I think that it's still a tight debate, but I think it could have been even more close. Absolutely.
Dwain, you did definitely, bring to our attention, like you said, you kind of rephrased it a little differently than before. It's not the game itself, it's the game. It's, as a whole. So that's a very different conversation, when you kind of put in perspective like that. But also at the same time, like you said, a challenge, can issue some serious psychological warfare, especially, in IG. Issuing a challenge where every competitor going to IG, you got it to be in it to fucking win it. Pardon my French. But also, challenges are not something to be taken lightly. That's for sure. We take them very seriously nowadays. You can't just casually just whip them out and hope you're going to be able to keep it nowadays, unfortunately. So, okay, if you have made your opinions in favor of either of these two, go over to Twitter and let us know who you think should be the winner of this debate in particular. And we're going to be going to our third and final date here in a minute while you kind of go make your selections. And, some people in the chat are kind of like, quick to mention Zeke Gallo. It's like, what was the Bateman challenge that he talked himself into points versus Bebiani? Mm-hmm.
Right, it's spectacular.
That was the sports agency one.
That was a great one.
Yeah.
Sadi was like, "Oh, the ad agency for sports agency." Yeah, that's the one. I believe. Spectacular with bids. Yeah, so it was clear that Ben's challenge changed the pace of the match. Paul was on a roll, and then Ben was able to capitalize after that challenge. I blame gravity again, whipping out a lot of these great examples. The American Psycho challenge in the categorical sense changed the game. I believe it was from Video Drew when she was given. She said it was it was American Psycho. She's like, this is a crime movie, not a horror thriller. And that's, definitely a different POV. We just hadn't realized it. It set a precedent on no one else has capitalized on. So, great point. But also, Chris, our boy, Cloud Man. Yeah. All right. But thank you, Lucas, for bringing me that claw like a champ. White Claw, so crisp, so fresh. All right. So again, go.
Good segue.
I know, right? Ooh, so fresh. Speaking of so fresh, we are going to be going into our third and final question. This is what I am super duper excited for. Not because, White Claws is like one of my favorite drinks of all time, but also every great sport, every real sport played in arenas around the world, everything on SPN has a official sponsorship or a beverage sponsorship, specifically whether it be Bud Light or Dr. Pepper, Pepsi, whatever it may be. So with that being said, will you please read the third and final question, Mr. Frankie Numbers?
Here we go. Question number 3. What should be the first official beverage sponsor of the Schmoedown?
We're going to be, Schmoedown's getting even more and more popular, obviously. And, this is something I feel like inevitably down the road is something that's going to be a big conversation, with some of the higher ups for sure. So I'm excited to hear your answers. We are going to be also using the coin to determine who is going to be going first. Now, before we actually started recording, I believe James chose a Team Trader and Dwain chose our Lord and Savior, Andrew Ghai. Just want to get a verbal confirmation, correct?
That's correct.
Perfect. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and vote, and whichever one it lands, they will determine if they want to go first or second. So, all right. It is Team Lord and Savior, Andrew Ghai. Fantastic. And so, Dwain, you get your choice. Do you want to go first or would you rather defer?
I will defer.
Defer? All right. So over to you, James. You are going to be pitching us first of your first official beverage of Schmoedown. Let's hear it. You have 1 minute starting right now.
Look, Dwain really helped me here because he already said who are the most popular people in the Schmoedown. Who are the people that you want to go out and see at live events and chant their name? It's the Wild Berries. And what better drink to sponsor the Schmoedown than Fireball whiskey? That is the drink of the Wild Berries. There's the drink of choice. If you're thinking about a match made in heaven, it's the Wild Berries and Fireball. And then you match in the sponsorship of Fireball and the Schmoedown, and it's a match made in heaven. It's perfect. What better people for a commercial than Josh McCouga and Elliot Dewberry? It just writes itself. It's so entertaining. It's so amazing. I'm ready to drink Fireball now just thinking about it, and I don't even like Fireball. They literally drank it at the desk at multiple matches. It just makes so much sense. They're such a fun team. They're so boisterous and so up all the time that it just makes for a perfect sponsorship partner.
And time. Great pick. I'm excited to hear it. Everyone loves Fireball, cocktail or a shot of it every now and again, to liven the spirits. All right. And over to you, Dwain. You also got 1 minute to let us know what should be the first official beverage of Schmoedown. Starting right now.
All right. So when you think about the Schmoedown, there are two real big voices. You've got Christian Harloff and you've got Mark Ellis. And if I was going to get someone to be a spokesperson for my brand, I would pick Mark Ellis. He's a professional. And what brand does Mark Ellis champion more than Coors Light? That's right. Rocky Mountain, ice cold, Coors Light, silver bullets, baby. It just goes together. lamb and tuna fish.
Ugh.
Wait, what?
That's another movie quote.
It sounds like you really want to yield the rest of your time. Okay. On that note, interesting.
But I mean, what works better for a sport or a competition than ice cold American beer? Like you can't argue against it. Ice cold American beer.
Okay. All right. So we have an American beer versus I don't know if
I'm not sure either. I don't,
is Fireball an American whiskey? I have no clue.
I think so.
it sounds dumb enough to be an American thing, so probably.
Look, nobody else in the world is going to put cinnamon in whiskey. Come on.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Your mates.
I don't know. It might be like made in Canada or something.
Hey.
There's it's apparently potentially Canadian, which is interesting. About Ryan Payne's coming out with I can't believe no one
is
picked
Canadian.
Troy.
I mean, it's kind of like I think like the gimme is like the Liz LaCroix, but I think for a real challenge, I think these guys went with. I think James went with like a really good one with the Fireball whiskey because I can only think of the promotional events you can do with wild berries, and then with Dwain Coors Light. I mean, that's a staple. I think everyone Mark Ellis unknowingly has been selling Coors Light since as long as you've been following him, probably. So there's definitely some interesting arguments to be had here in terms of what fun we can have with these kinds of sponsors if we're so lucky.
Well, Ellis is kind of, he's kind of low key vocal about how he doesn't bleed blood; he bleeds Coors Light.
Right.
So, I'm excited to kind of see both of them. I want to hear pitches. I want to hear potential commercials. I want to see what, I mean, how would some of these beverages be involved in a match? Would there be props? Would we get a mascot, in a big can or a shot of it or something? I don't know. I want to hear what you guys have to say. And you guys got 4 minutes to make your arguments in favor of your beverage, starting right now.
Look, Coors Light, they do everything. I mean, they're sponsoring, baseball and football and women's lacrosse and all these things. I mean, that's what happens with Coors Light. If you want to be something new, something that's on the cutting edge, the Schmoedown is something different. We don't want to be like all the other things. We want to be our own thing. And with Fireball and the wild berries combining, you are something special. That's something that Coors Light, their watered down stuff. It's going to be a watered down league if you get sponsored by Coors Light.
You know why Coors Light can sponsor that many things? It's because they have money. You know what it requires to run the Schmoedown? Money.
Fireball.
You know who likes Fireball? Broke college students.
And Josh McCouga and Elliot Dubert.
Actually, if you look at their last few matches, they weren't the Wild Berries. They were the Mild Berries. They moved on from Fireball. They've moved to rosé and white wine.
And they came back around.
Yeah, and you know what they came back around to? It wasn't Fireball. It was Jameson.
That's just because they didn't have enough time because they got split up. But what better way to bring the wild berries back together than to have this partnership with Fireball whiskey? I mean, it's something that's sweet and hard at the same time. I mean, that's what the wild berries are.
You know why it's sweet and hard at the same time? It's because it contains antifreeze. I don't know if you remember a couple of years back, but they kind of had to pull Fireball off the shelves. I don't know if Christian's trying to kill the viewers. I think you want to go with a true, tried and true, proven product, and that's Coors Light. I mean, you can't argue against it.
Look, when you go to a live event, how many people sit there and chant baby carrots? You don't hear it very often, but you know what? They're chanting the wild berries. They're chanting, and they're chanting that when nobody else is even around. McCouga can't even be at the show, and they're still going to chant wild berries. That is something that a brand needs. That's brand recognition right there, that you match up those two people together and put them in a commercial. People are going to follow them to the ends of the earth like they already do for the wild berries.
Okay. I'm going to give you the opportunity to retract that lie because I know that you were at the draft and I know that you were there when Mark Ellis stepped out on that stage in the Comedy Store. And I know that you heard the deafening chants of baby carrots. So go ahead and just roll that back try that one more time.
You get one out of those, and like I said, every Wildberries match, even in not Wildberry matches, it's like Meryl Streep. They're going to chant her whether she's on the wheel or not. They're chanting the Wildberries whether they're there or not.
That is true. It's 100% true. But you know who is always there and can always pitch his brand? Mark Ellis. He's at every single show. That means Coors Light is guaranteed to get a mention at every single show.
If they're sponsoring the show, they're going to get a mention at every show. That's not the point. It's not the point about bringing it up. It's about grabbing fans and grabbing a fan base. Coors Light's not an exciting product, but the Wildberries are exciting enough to get people excited about Fireball. You have people at live events that are taking shots of Fireball that don't even like it. They've never had Fireball, but guess what? They saw Josh McCouga take a shot. They're not buying Coors Lights because they saw Mark Ellis drink one.
If they're at a show and they're taking a shot, it's probably from a bottle, so they're not buying it, for one. Also,
no, Jake Yakavetta bought them all. That's why.
That too.
Just to clarify, it was a birthday, Trey. that was the shot they requested.
Right.
So,
Right.
but, okay. I'm gonna give you guys an extra minute because I interrupted. I apologize.
I'm gonna push back on that the grabbing fans, right? The point of the sponsor is to give you a broader reach. What has the broader reach? Fireball or Coors Light? It's 100% Coors Light. And when you say that just because they're a sponsor, they're going to be mentioned on every single show, I recall Manscaped being a sponsor of SEN, but they are not mentioned on every single show. When a sponsorship agreement is reached, they say you have to mention us on a specific number of shows. Coors Light will be mentioned regardless because of Mark Ellis.
If it's a big sponsor like this, it's going to be something that's going to be on the step and repeat. It's going to be a huge sponsor, so it's not going to be about calling out. You're going to see it all over the place. But it's about bringing in new people. You want to have that global reach, but you want to build the brand. You're about two brands building each other. Coors Light's already up here. The Schmoedown has to get up to that level. Fireball and Schmoedown can rise together. They are like rising tides, rise all ships. This is the perfect situation for that.
And time. Oh my gosh. Can I get the code? Oh, I gotta know. When was the last time you had a shot of Fireball, Frankie? I gotta know.
Ooh, that's a good question.
How old are
Probably,
you?
I don't know. Probably ask Jake Yakavetta the last time I got it. I think he would know. Maybe he wouldn't know, but he's my best bet.
Mm-hmm. What was the last time you had a Coors Light?
When's the last time I had probably at the last live event that we had.
I had
for sure.
one in Atlanta
as well. Oh.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't there for Atlanta, but I guess Spectacular.
Guess who bought me that Coors Light?
And look, that's the other thing. I want to say, I think between like these openings here, we got a little too much into the business aspect of promoting, which is fine. But I think I want to hear about the fun stuff in terms of like wild, crazy pitches and types of commercials that we can get. Crazy antics we could see during matches. Are we going to have commercials from matches? But it's the Wildberries promoting Fireball whiskey. Is it? I mean, Dwain brings up a good point. Ellis is at almost every he's at every live show, not necessarily every studio taping, but for the most part he is. There is a certain argument to be had for the amount of exposure that Mark Ellis does lend itself, as opposed to someone like McCouga and Dewberry, who are not always there for matches or studio tapings. However, I like the partnerships that are presented, so I know there's a lot of fun to be had for arguments.
Yeah. I mean, I totally agree. Going into this, I'm like, when I heard these ideas, I was like, heck yes, these are amazing. I would gladly for the rest of my life drink Fireball or Light if necessary. Fireball will forever be my beer of choice over this White Claw, sadly. But you got to do what you got to do. To sacrifice for the team. Now, No, something he definitely made, there's a lot of really great arguments, that are made, obviously, James made some arguments where he kind of pitching the idea of, working with that Wild Bears, making these great commercials, a lot of brand recognition, that's something, there's a certain edginess to it, knowing that, the younger crowd are a part of it. And Fireball, as far as I know, they don't really sponsor a lot of, groups or sports or anything. So it would definitely be something new to appreciate for sure. But also Dwain coming in hot saying, but sports need money. And what company has a whole bunch of money? The people that make Coors Light. And if they're going to be sponsoring, Schmoedown, we would love to have a good chunk of it. So that you can't deny that, there's a lot of money to be had. And it's kind of nice having that kind of correlation between, hey, mainstream soccer, that's maybe not soccer, but mainstream football team or baseball team, to have that correlation with Schmoedown. So that'd be kind of an interesting argument as well. But like you said, I do want to kind of focus on the fun, the ridiculousness, and who knows, one day this will be a great pitch for at future meetings. You never know. Just saying. All right. Okay, so we're going to be going into our closing statements. I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes apiece instead of the regular 1 minute, just because I just want to hear more.
So don't disappoint.
Yeah, I
don't even know where to begin with this.
There's a lot of different directions you can take it. I just want to hear all the weird stuff, the fun stuff, and yes, go into the numbers of it. That stuff is cool. But yeah, some people in the chat, are mentioning D Morgan Fireball is only for prime, like the Wild Man. But also I know. My roommate tried his Coors Light to make a Bloody Mary. Long story short.
Okay. Okay.
No.
That'd be. Yeah, but yeah, you're right. Like you said, not some people have tried Fireball for the first time. I have not had Fireball. BC says I am not sure if it is for me. I have had Coors Light. I think I know where I stand. Thank you, Dwayne. But do not make your assumptions, because they have still have to make their closing statements. BC, just saying. I know there's been a handful of people, and just kind of mentioning, I enjoy the mild berries. How dare you?
I wasn't slandering the mild berries. I actually enjoy the mild berries.
Right. Lucas says Dwayne should just chug Coors Light for the entire 4 minutes.
I'll be right back.
Okay. It might be his best argument, I guess. I don't know.
You never know. Well, I'm excited to see how this is really going to happen.
You know what's interesting?
Okay,
he's back. I was going to stall for time, but he came back pretty quickly. Yeah. All right, Dwayne. You got your silver bullet there?
Yeah, kind of.
Kind of. Okay.
It's a bottle, not a can.
It's a bottle. Okay, well, nonetheless, of course.
All right. I'm gonna drink as long as you do. How about that? I'll drink the claw as much as you.
I'm actually not gonna drink it because it actually has a special meaning. So
okay,
I can't.
Oh, fair. That's fair. All right. Okay. So are both our competitors ready for their closing statements? We will be starting with James. Obviously, are you ready to make your closing statement?
Let's do it.
And again, you have 2 minutes instead of the regular 1 minute. So take advantage. Let's see what happens. Let's make it weird, but also at the same time, chugga. So, all right, starting right now.
Look, Coors Light is spread thin. They have their hands in all these different pots. Fireball doesn't really sponsor anything, like you said, so they can focus on the Schmoedown. They can put their attention where it's needed. And the Schmoedown is going to be so happy to have this sponsorship that it's a match made in heaven. And what better two people to push forward a new era of the Schmoedown partnering with Fireball than the Wild Berries? I have an idea for a commercial. So you're on a college campus, and you see this really, really lame party. It's like Revenge of the Nerds first act. You know, they're just completely terrible. And all of a sudden you hear a ding dong on the door. And who is it? It's Dewberry and Makuga. And they brought the Fireball. And they just completely take over this house. And it's just people swinging from chandeliers, jumping off the roof. I'm a golden god into the pool. And it's just a good time. Fireball whiskey. It's just what you want to see. I've seen Mark Ellis drink Bud Light. I've seen him drink Miller Lite.
Wow.
Where is the brand loyalty from Mark Ellis? What in the world here? If he is this big Coors Light guy, then why was I drinking Bud Lights with him in DC? What's going on here? That's just come here. Just completely gone. He lost all credibility out the door.
Wow, going below the belt there. I like it.
I'm sorry. I saw it. It's happened. That's a real life situation. I know that if you partner up Josh Makuga, he's going to be drinking Fireball nonstop. He'll have that sucker in an IV. And now with the eating history, he's got a bigger, higher profile right now. He's going to be a superstar to sell this brand. This is what we need. This is the kind of stuff that's going to be able to push the Schmoedown on the map and get it to that next level. Mark Ellis right now, I mean, I don't see it. That Coors Light money, that's just not something we want right now. Give me that Fireball money. We're going to make it happen. It's good.
Go, God.
Yeah. I like it. I like it.
Oh,
I like it a lot. I like what I was hearing there.
I'm not going to lie. That was a great, fantastic closing statement for sure. And an interesting attack on a Mr. Mark Ellis. I'm curious to see if he would have some response to that. So interesting for sure. All right. So, okay. We're going to be going into our closing statement of Dwain Burke as well. Now, this is the third and final question, and this is your final closing statement. So you guys you as well have 2 minutes to really wrap it up in a nice bow, starting right now.
All right. So I'm going to start with a commercial. You've got Mark Ellis, coolest guy in the room, in a bright orange suit, bright orange shoes, nicknamed Baby Carrots. Walks into the bar. He orders an ice cold Coors Light. Walks out. Sees a kid on the street. Says, "Hey, kid." Or actually, the kid says to him, "Sir, I like your suit." And he says, "You know what? This guy was provided to me by Coors Light. And I'm Baby Carrots." You know what that does? It gets kids to eat their vegetables. It's everywhere. Now love Coors Light. We have Mark Ellis getting kids to eat vegetables. We brought in the young fans. We brought in the parents. You talked about growing the brand. You've talked about bringing in new people. What does it better than a man that's cool as a cucumber, named after a vegetable? And I'm going to just speak out on this slander that
30
you've
seconds.
thrown at Mark Ellis. There is no proof anywhere on camera that he has been seen drinking Bud Light. But I will tell you what, there's proof that the Wildberries do
15
not drink Fireball. We've seen them drink white wine. We've seen them drink Jameson. In fact, I've seen them, as I can recall, drink everything except Fireball.
In time. Oh my gosh. Shots fired, no pun intended, on both ends.
I would like 30 more seconds again.
Holy cow! When your potential sponsor is a beer company, and you mention kids.
Thank you.
I was like, where is he going? Where is he going?
All right, like my first thought, I was like, is he just referring to like a young person, like a kid in college kind of thing? That was I was like, yeah, like a kid, like a college kid. But and then he elaborated, so I was like, okay, I see you. You're expanding the fan base, like you said. Kids eat your vegetables. That is, like you said, indeed very important. Good Lord, there's a lot to take in right now. Okay, Frankie, what was some of your favorite points you made on either ends of these competitors today?
I'm really thrown off at the moment with Dwain's final getting the whole we're a beer sponsor, but we also want you to eat carrots or vegetables. Okay, for James, I think look. Plainly, what's better? 2 is better than 1. Makuga brought the high profile with Makuga increasing profile with his show now, and Dewberry, 2 to Mark Ellis's 1. There's more energy, I think you could say, with Wildberries as we've seen. on camera. With Mark Ellis, though, he's the everyday guy, which I think I would have loved to have kind of heard more about that, how he's so relatable. That's why everyone loves Ellis. I think, I think Coors, bless you, as a company would embrace the everyman guy because the everyman guy should drink a Coors Light. But Coors Light, in Dwayne's opinion, would also want you to eat your veggies. So interesting takes. Interesting takes. Yeah.
Absolutely. There's definitely a lot of interesting takes with this. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and search the chat real quick, because, the chat had some serious opinions for sure. Ziggy Gallo says, Harlow wants kids to wants the kids to get involved. That's why there is no cussing. So great point. Kids,
True.
The fan base of the younglings, young Padawans is indeed very important. But also, Dean Morgan says, at the end of the day, drink Fireball, eat your veggies, because both are
Right.
for sure. And oh shit, Josh has drank my Fireball. Has drank my Fireball at the first New York show. So I mean, you got to get that little personal, POV right there.
I also drank it in the match you brought up earlier.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, absolutely. Sadi says, from the Action Army, love you, girl. Never had a Coors Light. Fireball had many times, though. Life of an international. So that's pretty curious to see. That's something she definitely did bring up that neither one of our competitors really touched on, is that, the idea of, having an international fan base. One is international, potentially more so than the other. So interesting point made for sure. But also at the same time, Ryan kind of mentioned to you, my man, speed it up.
Hey, man.
This isn't a speed round. You gotta take your time. Be patient.
You know what? Yeah. Sometimes you gotta build up the anticipation.
That's just veteran play right there. That's what that is.
Exactly. All right, you guys are the 36 of you that are watching. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. You guys are the ones that determine who's gonna walk away the winner, and it's gonna be the winner of the first round, and to really kind of go into the second round of the winners tournament today. So make your opinions known. Go ahead and go and vote on Twitter right now. And you guys have, I'm going to put it up. Yeah, there it is. 10 minutes to go over there and let us know what you think. Do you think overall, you think Dwain should win with his arguments in favor of Chandra and Smets, in favor of Coors Light with Ellis? Do you think
Whoa, I was not Chandra and Smets.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, the other way around. Sorry, I apologize. The other way around.
I call foul. Challenge.
Sorry.
Just going to change the game. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. But, who do you think should go on to the next round to play against our winner of Wednesday's match, which is going to be, actually, I'm just going to bring it up real quickly. Now, the dates are incorrect, so forgive me. But this Wednesday, to probably take off that question, we're going to be having Bateman versus Brendan. That's going to be playing on the 27th, this coming Wednesday. And on the 3rd of June, oh my gosh, can you guys believe it's June already? Here pretty soon. It's going to be a Mr. Billy Belfort up against a William Bibiani and a Rachel Silvestrini up against a Danielle Ramirez. So that's
let me just say about this Ben Bateman Brendan Meyer match, because I have seen Ben Bateman and Brendan Meyer talk face to face Schmoedown and about theory of the game and strategy and all of that stuff. And let me tell you, I was absolutely fascinated watching these two guys talk about the game, and I cannot wait to see what they do in a debate setting, because I think they certainly both have their strong points of view and how they approach the game, and whatever questions they get, I know they're going to bring a very strong point of view in terms of what their argument's going to be. And that one, I think we're in for a real treat, because Ben Bateman, Brendan Meyer are two of the best that are playing the game right now. And I think they're going to bring their best for their meetup here in Schmoebates.
Absolutely. I mean, like okay. So similar to these two competitors right here, both Brendan and Bateman are currently sitting at 1-0 in their arguments. So I'm really kind of curious to see how that's going to work out because both are so great when it comes to arguing. Brendan Meyer, he does a lot of debating on some other, different projects and stuff he's working on as an actor. Obviously, he's no stranger to making those cases made. But also Bateman, he's also one of the hosts of the General's Debate on his own channel with, Action Industries. So I'm really, obviously, he's no stranger, kind of the come hither, go back and forth when it comes to those arguments as well. And but you know what? That's going to be this Wednesday. I would love if you guys come and hang out with us. That'd be a fun time for sure. It could be an intense match. I also have like some pretty wicked awesome questions picked out, so no big deal. But yeah, so just want to give you guys like a time update. You guys have a little over. Oh wait, you can't really see it. You just see that little doggy. About 7 minutes to go vote on Twitter. But yeah, okay, James. Dwain, I gotta know, what is your beverage of choice? What's your cocktail of choice?
I change mine up so often. I don't have like one go-to.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm grabbing like a case of beer or something, I probably go with an IPA, whatever IPA I can find at the time. If I'm going cocktail, I like a good gin and tonic. I like a rum and coke.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff. Just
nice
and easy.
I can see you as like a gin and tonic, man. Absolutely. Yeah.
Little live slice. It's nice.
Fancy.
I've gone through a few phases, I guess, in my life, but now for the most part, I drink beer. I'll drink like mango cart or pineapple cart that are both like California brews.
Nice.
If I have to go for a cocktail, I'll either do like a gin and tonic or I'll do like a Negroni or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So something that's not too complicated.
I recently learned just like last week what a Negroni is. That it's pronounced Negroni, right? Negroni.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I learned what it was for the first time, and when I saw it being made, I was like, "That looks so delicious!" And why is this like new to me now? So I need to get that as soon as I can.
I'm wondering, guys, for like that first question we had, James, you picked McWeenie and JT. I'm wondering what other matches you were debating between. Same for you, Dwain. Like, what other matches were you debating between choosing for today's match?
There's a lot of options.
I mean, was there only one that you just settled on right away, or was it just boom?
I came to the one that I chose pretty quickly. I did look at a few other matches that kind of stood out. I made a little list, so I'm trying to look and see if I can find my list.
And Dwain, you were just
no. So I actually went through the entire history of the Schmoedown. Alex can attest. So I asked if we were going to count season 1 and season 2 as a tournament because they were both technically tournaments.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I almost went with the first Schmoedown match of all time, and that was kind of
JT and Copster.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that was my initial pick. Was like, how do you beat the first match of all time? But then
technically it wasn't part of the tournament. That one was not a part.
Yeah,
of it.
and that's kind of where as I looked at it, I was like, that's too big of an argument. So it's like I can't really defend against that.
Yeah,
at all.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So
when I did answer you, I was like, technically it is, but if you do, you would definitely have a mountain climb.
Yeah. So then I started to look into like a few other matches, and I just settled on it's like, who do we love more than the Wildberries? Like it's impossible, and it's like this is the match. Once I realized that they debuted in round 1 of a tournament, I was like, okay, I found the one that I'm gonna argue for.
Yeah.
I thought about Ellis versus Stacey Howard.
That was on my list too.
Yeah, that was another really good one. What else did I have on here?
I think of I think it was Late to the Party and Critically Acclaimed. I mean, that's another great match. I mean, obviously the result is more shocking, I think, than the match, but that's another one that was on top of my head. I was thinking of that one.
And Clark versus Josh McCouga. I mean, that's
Oh
Those-
yes,
Those
definitely.
those were my
2016
three.
match. Yeah.
So
We
my
have the same ones.
yeah, my three, when I like narrowed it down, I was like, I need to pick one of those three. It's like my first one was Wildberries, Wolves of Steel. My second one was Makuga and Clark, and then my third one was Stacy and Ellis. And I was like, which one do I pick? And I was like, I think I can make the most arguments with the Wildberries.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like when we were, me and Alex were talking about through the, trying to figure out which one. I was like, there's a lot of possibilities for a first round tournament match, and that's why I was really curious to see what you guys were going to come up with, and just as well what you guys were kicking around. So yeah, a lot of those matches are great options.
Absolutely. Well, so, I mean, kind of when I pick these questions, I try to make them topical for right now. And for the first one, I was like, I definitely go with this one because obviously I feel like if you're going to Schmoedown for the first time, regardless of tournament, you can't. I feel like you can't just be like a casual competitor anymore. You have to be in it to win it. You have a manager that's bloodthirsty. You're possibly paired up with another member of your faction that's like studying, and you're going over strategies. You're looking at history, strengths, weaknesses, all that good stuff. And so going into it, it's with that being said, I hate to watch some of these players that I know for a fact can do really well and lose, and we don't see them for a long time. For example, Mark Hoyk, to me, is one of the most underrated rookies. Like, I know technically he's not a rookie, but to me, in my heart, he's a rookie, if that makes sense.
Sure.
But every time I've seen him on screen, I'm like, I feel like he's just not lucky. But every time he competes, he does fantastic. Whether it was part of when he was part of that the team's match last season, or would it be, from the season so far with the experiment, being in corruption. I just can't wait to see what he does next for sure. Oh, just want to let you guys know, you guys have just under 1 minute left remaining to go vote. And our boy Jake Yakavetta in the background, he's going to be getting those votes for me here pretty soon. So you guys got a very short time to.
Did you say Jake Yakavetta? Is that what you said?
Jake
Yuck. That's what I call him. He does.
Yeah, but go let us know who you think should move on to the second round of the winners tournament. So yeah, here pretty soon.
I'm really curious what these results are going to look like because I have not looked at the polls. I have not voted. I'm trying to be impartial. No one's bribes came through in time, so I couldn't vote. So I'm very curious to see what these results look like. Really am.
Yeah.
See, I got the Jake Yakavetta starter set going on right now.
Yeah. Nice.
All right. Now I am just going to be waiting for the numbers as we speak. And you guys, it will not be in the private chat. Jake, please send them to me, in a private DM on Facebook. I would really appreciate that for sure. Okay. So I'm going to be looking away. All right. Okay. I also got to know, while I'm kind of whipping out these numbers, oh, man. There it is. Okay. I also got to know, you guys are going to be going, this is like the first round. You're possibly going to be, one of you is going to be a 2-0. The other one's going to be a 1-1. So who would you love to see to go up against in the future?
For me, I mean, I would love to just get through this first round of the tournament. That way I could see Bateman versus Brendan and see whatever comes out of that. Because I think that would be a really fun debate to have, either of those two.
Well, do you have any, do either one of you guys, do you have any words you would love to say to either one of them?
I'm not saying it.
Yeah, it's just like I don't really want to say anything until I know who wins that match.
Right.
We don't even know if one of us has won yet, so there's no point in talking shit.
I mean, if I had to say I wanted to compete with anybody or against anyone, I mean, I'd love to go with Frank. Let's go round for round, like on camera. Like, I mean, we do it in the bar all the
Yeah, I
time.
know. I think it was the last time at Barney's. I was like, man. Even then, I was like, I thought we got pretty heated. I was like, dude, just so you know, like.
Oh no,
I wanted to. At the end, I wanted
it.
to clarify. I know. I was like, we were going at it for sure.
Yeah.
If you guys only saw what was going on, it was like you, me, Brandon, Hannah, and Smets, and holy cow, that was before quarantine. Oh.
Yeah, it was.
Times.
Yeah.
Oh, the
It
times.
was like right before it too.
Yeah. It was like the last time I went out, actually, before quarantine.
You guys, we have our answers.
Oh boy.
Get ready to cry. Get ready to cheer. We got the numbers. Okay, starting with question number 1. What is the best first round tournament match of any league in Schmoedown? With either the Wolves of Steel versus Josh Mishikuga versus in the release of the mystery partner up against JTE and Drew McQueen. We are currently sitting at 48 votes at exactly 50% and 50%.
Jesus.
Wow.
So,
really?
I'm going to give you guys another 2 minutes to let me know what y'all think. 2 minutes on the clock for that.
Okay, guys, really, I'm open for bribes because I can cast a deciding
2
vote.
minutes. Okay, times like this, guys, where, if you're watching this and you haven't gone voted, this is why it matters. Every single vote counts. All right. But like I mentioned, we got 2. Yes, you guys got 1 minute and 45 seconds remaining. Every vote counts. Okay. Moving on to the second question, though. What is the best challenge that changed the game? And that, that kind of question was slightly open to interpretation, which was really interesting to see, with James arguing in favor of Ben Bateman versus Preston. And, the other way around. And Kevin Smith challenging Chandru for the pronunciation of Ariana. So with it 42 votes in favor of the Smith-Chandru match.
Wow.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well done on that argument. Moving on to the third and final question, being, what should the first official beverage sponsor of Schmoedown be? Again, open up to incredible interpretation, and by far my favorite question that I ever seen argued in Schmoedown on Schmoebates so far. We have a whopping 43 votes with 55.8% of the vote in favor of Fireball.
Wow.
Meaning
Fireball takes the win.
Today, our winner is Mr. James White.
Congratulations, James.
Thank you, guys. I was not confident in any of those votes because I know that Dwain really he brought it today. So I was not sure how it was going to swing. I'm happy to get the win, but I didn't come in here expecting to win for sure because Dwayne's a great debater, and I had a run for my money on these questions today.
All I heard is that you like smacking him in the face with compliments, so I see what you're doing there. Kill him with kindness. I respect that, that approach for sure. Okay, so before we kind of dive into it, I'm going to go ahead and take Dwain, you off the screen for a hot minute, and you won. You're sitting currently at 2-0 in Schmoebates. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great, man. It was such a good time. I mean, I always enjoy hanging out with you guys and talking all things Schmoedown. So it was a fun time. I really enjoyed the questions tonight. It was fun to argue, especially against, like I said, a good competitor in Dwain. I'm excited to see round 2, though. It's going to be really interesting.
Well, you're going to be going up against either Brendan Meyer or Ben Bateman. So both are obviously incredibly talented, debaters individually. What do you think, Frankie, of, seeing this guy James going up against either of those guys?
Yeah, I thought James had really sound arguments tonight, and he really made the case for each and every one of his arguments. And I think he took also Dwain to task on some points that he felt like he could, poke some chinks in the armor. And, Dwain was great tonight, so it was no easy feat for James. So it was a lot of fun watching these two debate on the topics. And I'm really looking forward to who James could potentially face in Ben Bateman or Brendan Meyer, because whoever he does face, I think the fireworks will be just as frenetic as they were tonight.
Oh gosh, this is no pressure. They got a lot of research to do in the future. I know that for sure. Numbers, no pun intended, frankly, but they will be flying. That's for sure. All right, awesome. I would say please stay on. After I'm going to ask you just a few quick questions. But yeah, I'm going to go and take you off, and we're going to bring back Dwight, my man. Oh my gosh, you're currently sitting at 1-1. Obviously, you're not walking away with with the win today, but you've still argued amazingly well. I love your ideas, your picks when you make these, picks for some of these questions. I mean, Ellis, Coors Light, what?
Yeah, I mean, I try to take the inspired choices as much as I can. I try to not pick the easy wins, because some of those questions have very easy answers, and they're very easy to argue, but I always want to make sure that I have fun, and it's a challenge for both myself and for who I'm competing against. And James brought it. Like, he 100% brought it. I have like a page full of notes that I wrote down like while we were going at it, of like stuff that I needed to hit, and I didn't even hit like half of it. So it was a good battle.
Well, do you, looking back at some of your arguments, do you wish you kind of would change any of your picks? Do you feel like you kind of wish you went in a different direction when it comes to one of your approaches to a question, or?
I don't think I would have changed any of my picks, because at the end of the day, I picked them because I believed I could win with them. But I think I probably could have argued them a little bit better. Frank brought up, especially in that second round, I could have emphasized a little bit more about how that challenge changed the game overall and not the outcome of a singular game. I think I didn't spend enough time driving that point home. Mm-hmm. And that, I think, was the big downfall of my argument in round two. And I mean, you only got to win 2 out of 3. So if I would have won that one, I think I would have came out on top. But
I will say, I think your arguments, I think you really swung for the fences, but with that comes like great reward if you can capitalize on them. And I thought a lot of your arguments were you had much more of a bigger uphill battle, but if you could make the case, and I think you could totally have won over the voters out there. So I commend you for that type of mentality and effort, because I do think your picks were sound. It's all about how you can deliver, because it's one thing to have like what we think in our head, it's another to deliver it verbally and convince others of it, and that's part of the fun of this show, and I truly appreciate that, and I truly appreciated all your arguments, Dwayne.
Absolutely. Not to mention, I am forever gonna have that pitch of Mark Ellis pitching
that was
vegetable, which is indeed an important message to have.
As everyone will complain about my cadence and how slow that I make my arguments, but I always take you on a journey, and I think that's the goal. Is as long as you're with me there when I get there, I think you'll enjoy it. And,
a journey was definitely had.
if there's
a big physical, a spiritual journey was definitely made tonight. Okay, so Frankie, obviously Dwain is no softie, or when it comes to debating himself, there's a lot of potential people out there excited to debate and get on Schmoebates. Who would you love to see Dwain go up against, considering his amazing arguments made today?
That's a good question, because he did bring up myself earlier, and I would not be opposed to that, because I love a good fight, and Dwain obviously brings the heat. Other than that, I don't know who Dwain. Hey, maybe my counterpart from Rundown, he could take on Brad Gilmore. That'd be a lot of fun, because Gilmore, he can say a lot of outlandish things from time to time, and I know Dwain is just the guy to call him out on it.
That would be a good one.
Yeah.
I would love that.
That would be a good one.
He hasn't competed yet, but
He's
obviously,
scared. That's why he's scared. He's scared.
Yeah.
He's scared.
Oh,
He's scared. He's scared.
of course. What's that? Is that a shout out to Mr. Gilmore? Are you paying attention? Is that a
I
chat?
mean, he was in the chat earlier.
I did see him earlier. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that's very, very true. Awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and bring James back on here for a hot minute. Okay, guys, thank you so much for debating today. Frankie, you're an all-star in all things Schmoedown. I can't believe that you're here today. Thank you so much. James, Dwain, oh my gosh, thank you so much for participating in this and our first really kicking off, the winners tournament today. But at the end of the day, we got to know, where can we find you and everything you're involved with? Frankie,
Oh yeah, you can find me on the Schmoedown Rundown every Saturday, Sunday on the SEN channel, home to the movie trivia Schmoedown, obviously. And then if you want to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at FrankieJ29, you'll see things that don't really affect your life. That's just the truth. But you can follow me. That's great. It'll be fun.
Yeah, that's very true. Absolutely. Our lives, even though sometimes we feel like they are all about Schmoedown, realistically, they're not 99%. Sometimes they're more like 95%.
Right.
So those like 4 percentages, really make a doozy on us. Over to you, Dwain. Where can I find you and everything you're working on? I know you always have some of my favorite tweets. Randomly.
Yeah, I mean, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at BurkeMade. But I 100% would actually like to take this opportunity to not shout myself out. Today is a very important day. So please keep in your thoughts the families and those of us who have lost people in the armed forces. So today's a very important day. Please remember that and keep it in the front of your mind and in your heart.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Yeah, absolutely. Just running on that. This is it's a wonderful holiday. It's Veterans Day, Memorial Day. So, definitely think friends, family, anyone that that's part of the armed forces, because, everything they've done, for our country is not only something we are incredibly grateful for, but, without them, we wouldn't be here today, for sure. For you, James, where can we reach you and see everything you're doing? The faction, people don't really.
Absolutely. Come hang out with us out in the den. It's a lot cooler than the dungeon.
Totally. Or the Droogs.
Oh, it's definitely cooler than the Droogs. I don't know what the Hoot Man, whatever he's gonna do over there. So, yeah. But you can follow me at Gator24, G4GOR24 on Instagram a little bit, mostly on Twitter and on Letterboxd, and you can hang out with me there. And yeah, just echo what Dwain said. Today is definitely a day to remember and to support. So yeah.
Fantastic. And I'm Alex Mack here, part of Call to Action. You can follow me here on Twitter if you like. If not, totally cool too. But, definitely check us out on Twitter. Check us out. We are also in audio form. All of our episodes are available in audio form as well. You can check us out wherever podcasts are found. And, our Facebook group. And give this video a like and a follow and let us know what you think of today's matches. Do you think it should have been Fireball? Do you think it should have been Court? We got to know and also, did they low-key both lose by saying either one of these when it should have been either White Claw or Mountain Dew? I mean, come on, guys. Priorities. All right, but thank you guys so much. I'll see you guys on Wednesday if I can bring it up again, for Brendan Meyer and Ben Bateman. It's going to be going on at 9:30 Central. So please come and hang out with that. And just so we can continue along the lines of this one's tournament we have going on today. Tonight, we're going to be having on Chilled Action and Mr. Tim Franco. I'm not 100% sure what time it will start, but, keep your eyes peeled on the socials if you can. All right. But thanks, guys, so much. And we'll see you soon. Over.